0-2. I don't know. I didn't think anybody expected that. But, you know, it's a best of 7. He's not down and out by any means. We've seen players, I've personally, as a caster, seen players come back from worse. So nobody can really hold their breath just yet. We got to just, you know, if I'm KiToO right now, I'm not reveling too much in either victory. Just going to take each game at a time. And, you know, if I get the win, then move on and just keep trying to win. Just think about that specific game and not look at the context of it at all. Because that's when, you know, that's when you trip up, is if you start thinking about too much. Especially on this map right here we're going to play on. This is a map where you really have to just be 100% locked in and focused on, because this is a strange place, to say the least. So Infernal Pools is going to be map for Game 3, and we do have here the Blue Zerg really enjoying his first couple games. Up 2-0. He's going to try to push it to 3 so he can get into a nice early match point game. Can he do it? For Brawl Esports, it's KiToO. And against him is going to be the Red Zerg on the bottom right. Close position. And this is pretty darn close, at least through the air. So if it's Muta versus Muta again, that can get really crazy. But yes, it is the player down 0-2 right now. He's looking to get on the board right now, and this is going to have to be the game where he is able to do that. So we'll see. It is the player for Team Acer, guys, Bly. Last game we saw both players opening up pool first. It was Bly that decided to get aggressive beforehand. And ironically, because he did delay his speed, he thought that he could just sneak in, you know, try to force a little cancellation on KiToO, which he did. And he was really happy. But then the problem was his speed was later, and he just was on his way running home. His speed kicked in for KiToO in his pursuit. And then it all just kind of went to heck in that counter from KiToO. And really the whole result of that game just stems from that. So, you know, credit to KiToO for getting that, to earning that advantage and really taking advantage of it. Bly is a scary player. He can macro back and get back into the game if you let your guard down. But like I said, KiToO wasn't about to let that happen. So he's sitting in a 2-0 lead right now. Bly, on the other hand, looking for his first break here in this best of 7. He's going to be expanding right now and going for pool. So it's going to be hatchery first on both players' parts. On a map like this, you're thinking, okay, do they go expansion first? You know, is that why? Yeah, maybe. But they have already found each other's bases just by virtue of their overlords, their scouting overlords passing right through each other. So that's convenient, right? When you're able to see your opponent's overlord, so you know which direction he's in. And well, do you take that information as a Zerg to be aggressive, or do you just proceed as normal? Well, right now both players making both queens, so no lings, which is huge, because you know it wouldn't be the first time we've seen Bly or KiToO even make those initial 6 lings to pressure. Both going into queens. So we're looking at both players ready to perhaps enter the game for the long haul. We do have speed right now on the way for both players. Same exact builds for the most part. Of course, key is, you know, when are we going to see Baneling Nests, potentially Roach Warren. The playstyle of the Zerg player is really the determining factor, because, you know, we have a Baneling Nest going down right now, but I've seen players just go and drop a Roach Warren. Just skip the Baneling Nest altogether because they don't feel comfortable with that micro battle. Both these players seem to be comfortable with that because we've seen one of those battles earlier in Game 2. But, you know, players sometimes just go right into Roach and just, you know, even make a few Roaches just for defense. Of course, it could set them back. So, again, it's a tough matchup to really diagnose when you're the player. So right now we're going to have both Baneling Nest finish up. And yeah, there is a Roach Warren, guys. So it's Roach Warren for KiToO. and it is about 70% done. And Bly looking to get even further ahead in that tech tree. So that's what it often is for Zerg players. You know, I'm expecting you to go Roach. I'm just gonna go right into Muta, and you know, have that air advantage over you. So yeah, Bly adding on the 3 gases for sure. Wants to go into quick Mutas. KiToO, having made that Baneling Nest for defense, now is going to put his resources in a Roach instead. That's a superior tech as far as he is concerned. So he's going to rely on that to defend. A couple Banelings here for Bly. Morphing right now, and KiToO's going to make some Banelings as well, because, you know, the Roaches, as resilient as they can be, if you don't have the quantity you need for them, they'll just get surrounded, and they don't have the mobility either as well to easily defend Lings and Banes. So Bly threatening to pressure there, threatening with some aggression, but not actually moving all in with that. And he doesn't need to. As far as he's thinking, he just wants to buy himself time to get out Mutas. And if he can sort of threaten KiToO and keep him at home, then he will have accomplished that. But KiToO, he went Roach. He's made Roach. He wants to attack with it. He hasn't seen Bly make anything yet other than these Lings and Banes, and a couple of them just unloaded on the drones. But KiToO still has more of them than Bly does. Bly killed 5 workers. That wasn't enough to make up the deficit, as Bly cut some drones, apparently, to mount some of these attacks. So, last Baneling from Bly did not quite get any lasting damage, and now we're going to see these Roaches move on over here for a counterattack. Now, Bly saw that there were really few Roaches in that base, so he expected this counter to come over, and it's a really weak one, to say the least. Only 3 Roaches having to move all the way around those spines. Hey, they did take out a Baneling, though. That's a good pick up there for KiToO, but not much more is going to happen here, as this Roach counter is petering out. So, you know, how is it looking for Bly here? He was on the ropes for a bit. Now his Spire is going to finish. KiToO is trying to get his Spire tech up as well, but it's still 50% behind. It's not done yet. And now we're going to see Mutas pop in here for Bly in a few moments. Now KiToO, he hasn't, you know, visually scouted that Spire. Actually, let me check to make sure that that's the case, so I'm not just making that up. But he hasn't verified that there is, in fact, a Spire, but he knows that there has to be. A lot of minerals sunk into those spines, which means Bly doesn't really care too much about the minerals as much, and of course now he verifies that there are Mutas. But on top of that, you know, just a small amount of Lings and Banes, and no other tech, no Roaches, right? So KiToO had to have known Spire was coming. He's finished with his now and starting to get Mutas of his own. And he's taking a third. Both players are. Ooh, we're going to have a Ling run by on this third. Will there be the cancel from Bly? He does get the cancellation. And every little advantage. We saw, you know, forced cancellations of expansions really key in game number 2. In game 3, that can be the determining factor for someone getting ahead in economy versus not. Bly now, slightly ahead in workers, is, I would assume, going to look to try to rebuild that third, but he hasn't done it yet. KiToO just keeping his units in that area, making sure that doesn't happen. The problem with that is there's less units here for KiToO right now to defend this gold base. And he doesn't want to lose these Mutas. Oh, he's going to lose one of them. A little mistaken micro there from KiToO. And he needs to bring everything back. He's going to bring these Queens over to help out as well, transfuse on a couple of the Mutas. And those are very timely ones, I have to say. KiToO giving chase with the Mutas, perhaps not the best thing without the Queens to help out. Oh, actually, there's going to be continued battling here. This is a battle that KiToO's not going to win. There are more Mutas. There's more red here for KiToO. He had a lower Muta count in the first place. The only reason why that battle lasted as long as it did was because of the Queens on the bottom. But at the point where you're not fighting above your Queens anymore, you have to back off. And KiToO didn't do that. And he, you know, had a slight lead in this game, and he just kind of gave it up with that effort just now. I mean, let's look at the number of Mutas lost. 12 Mutas lost by KiToO compared to 3. We saw in game 1 how important it was to make sure you prize your Mutas. Like, they're prized possessions. You have to take care of those babies, and you lose them as carelessly as KiToO has this game, it's really difficult. Really, really difficult. You might even see him having to move an Infestor or better yet, just GG out of it. And Bly is going to have his first victory here in this game 3 in the best of 7.